Good. I'm going to make sure you're in. Are you in the shot? Did we check it?
We checked it, yes.
Okay. Good evening. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. I'm Senator Julia Curd. I'm the Senate Minority Leader here in the Senate. I'm really thrilled to have you here. We've had quite a few Capitol conversations, and we're trying to continue to offer that during session because one of our big concerns is that our legislative process does not have room for public input publicly. I'll say it that way, because we have a process up here where everything happens in people's offices or before the bill comes to the floor. And we think it's incredibly important to hear people's voices while bills are moving, while legislation's happening. So we're hoping that you have things you want to tell us about. We do have speaking slots available if you want to sign up to speak. Talk to Rachel back there. We are glad to include you. We are going to start with a little legislative update. With the time limits for speakers, we hope that that'll make sure that we still wrap up in a reasonable amount of time, and then you can chat with folks if you want to. But just little logistics, bathrooms are outside and to the right and left. Any other logistics they need to know? No, nothing. Okay, sign up if you want to sign up. This is auto captioning, and then we're very grateful to have ASL interpreting, and this will be on the Teams recording so we can keep track of it. First of all, I just want to thank you for coming. I think this process really should be about you and about the people of Oklahoma. And I think very often in this building, we can get consumed by people that are paid to be up here. And we want to make sure we're hearing from folks. So I'm very thrilled you're here. I want to introduce we're so glad to work with the House Democrats and make sure that this is a bicameral event. So I'm glad to introduce Leader-elect Melissa Provenzano.
Hello, just a real quick welcome from the Oklahoma House Democrats. We have several in the room. Representatives, would you mind raising your hand so folks know where you are so they can track you down about their legislation? If you wouldn't mind introducing yourself really quick, or I can do it.
Representative Melody Blansett, Tulsa, House District 78.
Representative Andy Fugate, House District 94, Del City and the surrounding community.
And Suzanne, sir.
Suzanne Schreiber, House District 70 in Tulsa.
Ellen Hefner, House District 87, Oklahoma City.
Rep Timmons.
We're going to let her speak.
Okay. And then two who are at the show. At this front table, and I'm Representative Provenzano. I'm out of Tulsa, representing the Woodland Hills Mall St. Francis Hospital slice of Tulsa. And with that, I'll turn it back over to you.
Great, thank you. Thank you so much. We're going to start with a little legislative update. So we've asked the members that are sitting before you to do just very briefly talk about a bill they're working on and a bill they're concerned about. Elizabeth is going to be watching the time, so she will be waving first at our legislators. They're going to get 3 to 4 minutes each, and then later with speakers, she'll be giving you a time limit. So to try to keep us moving along, we want to hear from you, but we know we can't all speak as long as we want because we'd be here all night, right? And we can't afford to buy you food right now. So I am thrilled to introduce our 2 Senate members who are sitting here. So if we can, I'd love to start on the far end with Senator Mary Bourne, if you'll introduce yourself and tell about what you're working on.
Hello, I'm State Senator Mary Bourne from Norman. I'm concerned about Senate Bill 1514, which a lot of others are very concerned about that, and it is intended to make it prohibits non-government organizations, which is nonprofits and churches, from providing assistance to immigrants. So I've received, it's 1554, sorry, yeah. So 1554. And then I have a bill, it's Senate Bill 1471, that tries to take away some of the damage that was done in the plastic bag ban bill that targeted Norman in 2019. We've had a lot of interest in reducing microplastics in our water, and it's been a very bipartisan concern. So hopefully this bill 1471 gives municipalities the ability to manage and reduce microplastics in our food and our water.
I'm State Senator Carrie Hicks. I represent Senate District 40 here in Oklahoma City, the Village, Bethany, War Acres, and Nichols Hills. One bill that I'm working on will actually be presented tomorrow in public safety. It's Senate Bill 1636. This was actually a constituent request that comes out of the unsolved cold case around the Oklahoma State Fair murders. Now, those of you who know me well know I'm a classroom teacher, so this is a real stretch goal for me this session. I've learned a whole lot about local jurisdictions and more than you would ever want to know. So this just provides a pathway for family members to be able to request a full case review in the event that there is new compelling evidence or that there has been substantial progress on technology that might yield some results. So I'm excited to present that tomorrow. I, as well, the bill that I have received the most constituent feedback on is Senate Bill 1554, which again prohibits churches specifically from living into their faith and their mission to, clothe people who need clothes and provide food and all the things. So I will pivot and say, I don't have any bill numbers for you, but anything that is expanding vouchers is concerning. We're currently spending $250 million state dollars to entities that have no scrutiny, no oversight, and no accountability to the public. So an expansion on putting any more public dollars to these private entities is concerning for a multitude of reasons.
Good evening. I am Rep Timmons from House District 97, just elected on June 10th and was sworn in on June the 18th. So I feel like I'm drinking out of a fire hose sometimes, but so glad to be here. So glad to be here. Bill I ran that I'm real proud of is 2977. It's a disability rights bill for the hearing impaired. So it allows people who are hearing impaired to put on their either driver's license or their tag the fact that they're hearing impaired, so that when police officers stop them, they are aware that they're not ignoring them or they're not complying, that they may have a reason why they're not doing what they're instructed. And I think that came from my work with the deaf community early on in my career, and then my little brother was deaf from spinal meningitis, and so that was the first bill that I got out of the policy committee, and I'm real proud of it. The bill I am concerned with is House Bill 4420. It is a bill in education that talks about retention of children in the third grade. I'm concerned for a number of reasons. One is the retention issue and the timeline on that is worrisome to me. You can't tell whether they're going to start it immediately or they're going to wait 3 years for kids that are now in pre-K and kindergarten to matriculate through, and then what they're going to require the parents or where they're going to start it immediately. That bothers me because there's a lot of evidence about retaining kids and what it does to them in terms of their long-term ability to progress. Also, the staffing that's necessary in it. They're going to need multi-year staffing. And what kind of staffing? If we're talking about a crisis with kids, we probably need certified teachers of the highest caliber, and there is no criteria for who that staffing is going to be. Also, I'm concerned with House Bill 1554, and as a lawyer, I think it's unconstitutional that you cannot tell a church how they can move forward on what they feel like is their Christian mandate, their whatever religion you are, and how they implement that. That's why we have separation of church and state. So I'd be interested to see how long, see if it gets passed, and then see how long it's actually going to be before it's challenged. That's all I have right now.
Thank you. My name's Ellen Pogmiller, like I said, House District 88, Oklahoma City. The bill that I am most excited about, and it may be a 1 or 2 year push, but it's House Bill 3698. This is a bill that increases the reimbursement for developmental screenings in a practitioner's office. It doesn't have to be done by a medical provider. It can be done by a nurse or a community health worker. But developmental screenings are key ways where you can talk to parents about maybe milestones their kids may be missing, but provide the additional support and referrals to programs that can help them. We don't actually have a good number of how many kids are developmentally screened, unfortunately. So based on some partnerships that I have in Tulsa, they kind of extrapolated, if I think that's the word, but there's only about 40% of kids who actually get developmental screenings. And so when we talk about being ready for pre-K, when families don't have the information or the services that they need and aren't referred to programs like Rep. Hefner talks about all the time is Sooner Start. Kids are really, we're hurting kids. We're not helping them be ready for pre-K when they start school. So that's one bill. And then I would second, I'm going to get two in here because Carrie took my bills on the vouchers, but my biggest concern is the expansion of our parental choice tax credit voucher without adding any requirements and with still allowing no income cap. So millionaires can take $5,000 and send their kids to private school even though they can afford it. I was going to add one that I just read today, which is very problematic, which is House Bill 3722, which basically says if you fill out a form to register to vote and you don't select a party, right now it allows you to be an independent. They're saying now if you don't pick a party, then you're not technically registered to vote yet. And the problem is that maybe you don't want to be in a party, but you still want to have the opportunity to vote on state questions. So a party affiliation allows you a primary access. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't vote. So that's up in government oversight tomorrow.
You all were fabulously efficient, and I so appreciate that. Hopefully I don't tire out our ASL interpreter, but I'm going to ask our other members who are here to get the chance to say one bill you're working on or your biggest bill you're concerned about. Let's start with Rep. Ellen Hefner. Give her a second.
House Bill 39, I like them all. House Bill 3901 has to do with suicide. It's an education piece that I'm pushing, and I hope it's going to go on the floor. But House Bill 3903 is domestic violence reporting. We shouldn't be top 10 for 10 years now in that. I think we're number one. I just found out from Tulsa County when they came in. But it's how we report. A call log is not a report, so making them that an incident report so that at least we have these women who, with domestic violence, that their judges can really make a decision based on the based on paperwork, all the stuff that's gone through the courts. Same with VPOs. Oh, what don't I like? That's fine.
Let's go with one you're promoting for now, and we'll hear the concerns from the audience in a minute.
Well, I'm going with your initial instruction. I'm going to say something I don't like. I'll tell you about House Bill 4200, which is a bill I have with Senator Rader that seeks to close some public safety gaps and address our homeless population by thinking about a team that surrounds folks when they come out of prison or jail and finds places for them and gets them connected with the right kind of services. It's called a forensic aggressive community team. And so looking at that, I'm excited about that bill. My biggest concern are the proposed cuts to the child care subsidies and reducing eligibility for those subsidies. I have a couple bills that would be a buffer for that, but the main issue would be the cuts to those. So we'd be taking 30% of Oklahomans who are currently eligible for support from the state so that they can go to work and they can be part of our workforce. We'll be losing any kind of partnership with the state. And we are also reducing the amount that we pay to our child care providers. And that's far less than what the cost of care is. And that is devastating for that small business industry.
Provenzano. if you wait just a second, our interpreter's being so kind to get in the shot for us so that we make sure anyone who needs to see it can see. Thank you.
Thank you for doing that. Just want to highlight a bill that's up in Oversight Committee tomorrow. We are seeing ever increasing bullying and harassment of municipal level electeds and volunteers. So city councilors, school board officials, commissions, boards, that sort of thing. And I have a bill up tomorrow that grants them the same protections that we as state electeds get, and hoping that gets across the line.
Thank you. So I was planning to talk about my own proposal for the people, but I think I'm going to switch gears and talk about a Senate bill. And this is Senate Bill 1570 by Senator Paul Rusino, which is a merger of all of the child issues with DHS and OJA. And I want everybody to think about it in the context of what was happening in the late 1970s and the early 1980s when we had the horrific abuses that occurred, which actually wound up on ABC News. We had kids, because we didn't have a functional foster system, who were beaten, isolated, abused, both physically and sexually. We had kids with intellectual disabilities who were murdered as part of that process. And we absolutely, as a state, cannot go back to that same system where we warehouse children. And the way I read 1570 is that's exactly what it does.
Much. Let's see. One, I think that I'm really concerned about, and I'm not really sure people, well, it's not really a very well-known issue, but in Tulsa, we are very, very close to becoming the capital of the United States in the incineration of regulated medical waste. We have a facility that has gone through ODEQ without really almost no public notice to nearby residents, that we will, that they want to take the incineration facility that currently burns our municipal solid waste, and they're getting variances through ODEQ to now incinerate regulated medical waste, not just medical waste like sheets and regular stuff like that, but we're talking regulated medical waste, which includes rubbers, plastics, sharps, which is metals, all of those things, which when they are incinerated, emits certain toxins into the air. And the concern is that not only has ODEQ not required this firm to demonstrate that their emissions will cause no harm, but they also are allowing them, the variance would allow them up to 41,000 tons of out-of-state medical waste to be shipped into Oklahoma. And that puts us at the largest medical waste incineration facility in the country. And this is 1 mile from an elementary school, 2 miles from Brookside, Cherry Street, downtown, so a heavily populated area. And air does move in this state, as we do have winds. And so it could very well not just be Tulsa that's affected. So I think this is I am running a bill that would require them just to meet and be regulated, meet the standards and be regulated by the EPA for a regulated medical waste facility, not just a solid municipal waste facility that has a low variance. So these restrictions are already in place, but they're being allowed to get a variance for that. So I'm very concerned about that. We'll see where it goes. It got out of committee. It's still got a long ways to go. Yeah. It is HB 4413.
I'll just say if there's bills that you want us to help you look up, we're glad to. Our staff all know how to look up bills on the website. They know how to track the status of any of these bills. If you need help with that, please tell us, and that's an opportunity. Just briefly, I'll say the bill that I'm working on that's been a multi-year effort that I'm going to keep working on is around eviction. So Oklahoma has one of the highest eviction rates in the country. It's a huge challenge that our Landlord-Tenant Act has been almost unupdated since the 1970s when it was first passed, and our rates are very high. And so last year I passed a bill with Rep. Daniel Pay from Lawton that would have extended that timeline between when an eviction is filed and when that eviction summons, that hearing happens. And it did make it through the House and Senate, but got vetoed, unfortunately. So this year we came back with a compromise that would just add Sundays and legal holidays. So we're talking about Christmas Day, July 4th, days when the bank is literally closed, and then we're talking about Sundays. And this really came from both our concerns about housing stability, but also the judges who are handling these cases are overwhelmed at certain times of the month, certain times of the year, and it's just not fair to them, and it's not fair to the people who are coming before the judge. So right around Christmas, we're talking about dockets of 250 cases in a morning, 2 days after Christmas. It's just ridiculous. It's not a way to run these kinds of processes. So I just tell you this because this is a bill that needs as much advocacy as possible. I have found the voice of those who oppose any kind of restrictions on property owners is very loud, but that I really feel like, although it's not an easy issue, that we need to make sure that we are leaving room for some mediation there. I've heard from nonprofits that support renters who are falling behind that they don't even have time to get that rental assistance to the person right now because there's such a quick window between filing and the case is 5 to 10 days. And so the average Oklahoman is locked out within 14 days of the very first day that they're late. So it's a very quick process. And anyway, if anyone wants to talk more about eviction, I'm your gal. Rep. Pogue Miller's also working on it. So we do have a sign-up sheet if you still want to speak. I'm glad to add you to this list. Just so you know, we are here to listen to you. We are not going to respond to each comment. We are glad to talk to you afterwards about ideas, next steps. I think one of the most important things is finding allies who have the similar concerns. So sometimes we see people who are already working with advocacy organizations or already have a network. Just the other day, we passed a bill by someone who spoke at our last Capitol conversation. People who lost a loved one to fentanyl overdose came and spoke at our last meeting, and there were 3 of them from across the state who had met each other and were working together to try to improve prevention and awareness and education. And so a bill passed last year specifically on that topic, last week. And so it was really wonderful to see these families working together because they just were shocked at our laws and our lack of prevention. So whenever possible, if we can help people find allies to work with, we're glad to do so. Okay, with all that being said, so speakers will be coming up to this mic. Just know that your voice matters if you've never spoken in a Senate room. I know this is a fancy room. I know it's very formal looking, but we are here to listen. We care to hear from you. So do not feel like you're not here to impress us, but we want to hear from you, okay? So I'm trying to say, don't be too nervous, even if this is an intimidating room, okay? So take a breath to collect yourself. If you think I'm being cheesy, then that's fine too. But I personally get a lot of adrenaline, even though I've been in this building for 8 years. I'll get adrenaline walking up to the podium sometimes. So I want our first speaker, Steve Goldman, who has been here before. I'm glad to have you come on up. I'm going to have you speak from up here. That way our ASL interpreter doesn't have to run the room the whole time.
Howdy, I'm Steve Goldman from the Independent Republic of the Village, and I'm speaking as an individual, and I wanted to continue the conversation on Senate Bill 1554 that Senator Bourne was talking about. That's the one that says that churches or charities cannot help undocumented people without being penalized by the state. And the couple of things that come to mind is the people who are supporting that bill seem to be the same ones who wanted more Bible teaching in schools, wanted 10 Commandments up on the wall. People who applauded when Governor Stitt created the Oklahoma Office of Faith-Based Initiatives, and now are saying that no, faith-based organizations should not be helping people, and that there's going to be a penalty on a church. So I'm trying to figure out, how to talk to the quote conservatives who favor this bill, because what it's going to mean is, like, after the wildfires, when Red Cross opens a shelter, are they going to check IDs in the middle of the night? After a tornado, there's the wonderful Oklahoma Baptist disaster relief trucks that pull in and help after a tornado. Will there be a state police car behind that checking IDs of everyone who comes up for help? After floods, especially in rural areas, local churches are always handing out dry clothes and towels. Will they have to ask everyone for their papers? So I'm not sure that these conservatives have thought it through at all, because this is very much a redefinition of the Oklahoma standard. It's a restriction on the teachings of Jesus Christ. So these religious right folks, I can't get into their heads well enough. And so want to find out how to ask these legislators to, who go to church religiously, to go talk to their own pastor and ask for quotes from the Bible that support this position of restricting what churches can do. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Steve. Next up, we have Robert Ratcliffe. Robert?
Hi, how you doing? I'm Robert Ratcliffe. I'm from Lawton, Oklahoma. 20 plus year combat veteran, Army, all that good stuff. Proud Oklahoman. One of the things I heard, I'm horrible with remembering name. The bill that your medical waste and everything. I actually had to have half my driveway taken out because of the burn pits and everything from combat zones. So that is extremely important. And it's something that is a very long lasting and, consecutive issue. One of the other issues that I wanted to talk about had to personally, during the students walkout for ICE, whether you agree with it or not agree with it, it shouldn't matter. I actually stopped at a gas station during this event, and a grown man was harassing one of the children. Okay. And the store attendant was telling the gentleman, stop harassing customers, you got to leave. Okay. Me as an adult, I'm sorry, children are to be protected by all adults. I don't care what children, what child, whoever. So I stepped in between this man and the child and told him, hey, you're an adult. Act like one. So he got angry and he raised his shirt and had a weapon. Okay, and this is with the child, everything around, and police were called, and I was made out to be the bad guy. On the police report, everything, because the police officer didn't like what the children were doing. So my question to you all is, when are we going to get some gun laws? Whenever it is having some sort of, child involvement to where there's going to be actual penalties that is going to make a difference. So please, this is something that needs to be done. And this is all about children. So, let's keep it about taking care of children.
Thank you, Robert. Appreciate you. I'm glad no one got injured. Mark, is this Bettina Davis? Oh, great. We got some double Lawton participation today. I'm so glad. Come on down. Again, sign up sheets next to me if anyone didn't get signed up and wanted to.
Hello, I'm Matina and I'm from Lawton. And I was going to speak about something different, but I want to speak to, I think, the Senator Melissa's bill. She's trying to pass a bill for the local level to, I guess, be treated like the state officials. But in Lawton, that's not going to be a good bill for our local elected government because they're already weaponizing the police against the citizens. I have been charged with 3 crimes for speaking out. I was speaking about FISTA. When the city manager's wife went up to the podium to ask for $1 million to start FISTA, her husband was city attorney / city manager at the time and gave her $1 million of our money. So I started questioning that. I was harassed by a city council person because they were friends. I emailed all my leaders to tell them that this woman was harassing me. They did nothing. She kept harassing me for a year. So I went to my local police department to make an incident report. Drove up there, didn't call 911. I went to the police station. He came, he took my report, gave me the yellow piece of paper, and said I have up to a year if I want to file charges. Didn't file charges. Rosenbaum, our city prosecutor, charged me with filing a false police report. Then he went and tried to get Burke evidence and had Ms. Johnson, our former council person, to file a protection order on me. She sits on the Marie Daddy board, and at that time, the legal aid office was closed for COVID, and the citizens was trying to reach out for help. It was closed for the citizens, but she got legal aid in 3 days, filed a protection order on me. Protection order was denied. False police report went to the Supreme Court. I was found not guilty. Then Rosenbaum charged me with slander. The jury found me not guilty. They are weaponizing the police, and they are abusing their power. And I'm targeted every day by the police. Just wanted to say that. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your story. Kayla Garcia. Kayla, come on down. Thank you for coming.
Hello, everyone. I'm here to just speak a little bit, and specifically HB 2012 is a bill that would be cool for us. My name is Kayla. I'm representing Shred the Stigma, a harm reduction organization based in Oklahoma City, whose mission is to improve the quality of life for people. Okay, hold on.
Be the space.
My heart said, oh my God. Okay, so our mission is to improve the quality of life for people navigating substance use in our community. Oklahomans care deeply about this issue. In fact, mental health and substance use made the list of top 5 health issues concerning community members in the State Health Needs Assessment in 2022. According to SAMHSA, at least 20% of Oklahomans met the criteria for substance use disorder, and more than 80% of those people could not access healthcare for those issues. So what are people supposed to do until they get access to help? Harm reduction is not just handing out syringes. It is the idea that we live in a reality where people use drugs and that there are safe and unsafe ways to use them. We hold firm that people who use drugs don't need to be punished. They need access to tools and resources that make sense for wherever they stand. Harm reduction is help people where they are, regardless of their motivation to change. We look out for each other, even if someone is making choices that we might not make for ourselves. The opposite of addiction is connection, and our primary function is to connect with people to offer support unconditionally. There are so many obstacles on the path to recovery. We cannot leave people behind if they are not ready to overcome those obstacles. Recovery is not linear, and it doesn't look the same for everyone. Recovery often starts with one small change toward a healthier life, like planning your day to make sure you get sterile syringes instead of sharing or reusing like you used to, or switching from injection to smoking because you keep getting skin infections. Recovery is calling a friend before you use so they can stay on the phone with you, and call 911 if you stop responding because you don't actually want to die. Recovery is getting on PrEP to prevent HIV because you do care about your future. Any positive change is part of the lifelong journey of recovery, and legal harm reduction has allowed service providers to offer real support for people in a way that makes them feel like someone cares about them, even when they're not ready for big changes like engaging in addiction treatment. So we urge you to bring HB 2012 on the floor for a vote, please. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think there's some folks that will want to talk to you about that afterwards who've been working on that. Bailey, are you here? Great. Come on down. If you want to.
Hi, y'all. I'm not Bailey. I'm Bales. But I'm so happy to be here. I'm also going to talk about harm reduction, and Kayla got up here and did a wonderful job. And she's talking about HB 2012, how we want to bring it to the floor. But I want to bring attention to some other bills that are going to cause harm. We've got HB 2941. We have SB 2043, which strikes harm reduction completely. And HB 2941 is going to impinge on our first responders. I'm also here because I want to give you guys the opportunity to save over 500 lives. How often do you have that opportunity, right? In 2024, we lost 1,196 people to fatal substance overdose. 45% of all of those fatal overdoses had at least one bystander present. I don't think for a second that those people didn't help because they didn't want to. I think that they couldn't help because they didn't know what to look for. They didn't have the tools to help their friends and their loved ones. I'm also here because I want to give you the opportunity to prove us wrong. When I told my friends and family I would be coming here to talk to you all, they said, "What good will it do?" They looked at me and they thought it was pointless. You have the chance to save a plane crash's worth of people, a plane crash's worth of lives. And you have the chance to help me win my betting pool, more importantly. So thank you in advance for the work that you're going to do, because it's going to make an impact. And honestly, who else gives you the opportunity to save that many lives all in one? All you have to do when you're presented with these bills and say, "No, I don't want this. No, I don't want people to be punished for being sick. I want people to have the tools that they need to live happy, healthy, dignity-filled lives." And it's the easiest no you're ever going to say. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Corey, step right down.
I also just wanted to say, I know that we had some folks kind of join us a little bit late. So if you are wanting to publicly testify, please make sure we're creating space for everyone. So if you came in a little late, make sure that you sign up over here on this sheet of paper so that we can hear from you.
Hi, I'm Corey. I live here in the city, and I just wanted to talk about public transit for a little bit. Last year, we Route 19 in Oklahoma City was on the chopping block, and Route 24 did get reduction in service because of a budget cut happening on the state level for the disadvantaged. I personally have tried to replace my car usage as much as possible for my health and for the environment. Last year, I rode between 6,000 and 8,000 miles on the bus route, 3,500 miles on my bike, and only 2,000 miles in my car. And I would just like to see more state funding to expand that, because a lot of the reason why people don't join me in that is because I needed those 3,000 miles or the bus wasn't going to work. That's all I have.
Thank you so much, Corey. Andrew, our illustrious intern, is stepping up.
Hello, everyone. You guys have no idea how bad I've wanted to use one of these things. Okay, so my background, I'm a non-traditional student. I'm going back to school now at OSU OKC. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about my experience and something I've noticed. When I look around, I knew I wanted to get into political science, get involved, and figure out how all of this works. I was lucky enough to get an internship up here. I've been learning a lot. But what I noticed when I talked to my classmates is I've talked to dozens of young students, like 18, 22, who have thoughts and feelings about what's going on. They see the news, they all know, but they don't know how to get involved. They don't know who to reach out to. They don't know if they're registered to vote, how to register to vote, things like that. So I've been helping them a little bit. I tried to get some of them to come tonight. But I just want to know, is there someone out there doing outreach and I'm not even talking partisan, just, hey, here's how you register to vote. Are there organizations doing that? If so, how do I get in touch with them? And just do we have any plans for that sort of outreach? And that's really all I've got. Thanks for having me.
All right now I don't have anyone else on the list, right, Rachel? Look at us. All right, so I'm going to, if it's okay, I'm going to mention the topics that were raised, and if you are a member that specifically would like to chat with the person about that topic, will you raise your hand? If not, we'll work it out. But I just know, for instance, that some of these things are of interest to specific folks. So in terms of Senate Bill 1554, the faith-based limits, Senator Boren, that's something you've been working on a little bit, or do you want to? No, Steve, talk to me, because I've been working on that bill. I don't know, gun laws. Anyone want to talk gun laws? Hicks does. Local corruption, that's what how I'm categorizing your stuff, because I think we do have a huge issue around local corruption. Anyone working specifically on those issues? Judge Timmons. Harm reduction, incredibly important. Yeah, Senator Hicks worked on that some. And I think the Senate's the one stalling it out right now. Yeah. Bad bills on harm reduction. I think Health and Human Services folks, if you all could chime in, that'd be great. Public transit. Hogue Miller, are you digging into that yet? No? You've done some transit stuff, but our transit experts are not here right now, but we know that budget is very big for transit and very little for public transit. And then Andrew, we're going to figure out who all should talk. There's lots of options, but okay. Did I miss anything else big in terms of topics? I want to thank you all for coming to speak. We are 1 week from Thursday is the committee deadline for bills. So bills not heard by next Thursday should not be heard this session. So in terms of bills dying, this is a very important timeline, week from Thursday, but it's also a very important timeline if we want things heard, that they need to be heard by then for committees. In House, they had double committees, so they already had to go through one committee by last week. And so if you want to know where something is in the process, I think Andy Fugate's your guy. Rep Fugate is tracking this stuff closely. So if you just are wondering the status of a certain bill or initiative, are you okay with talking to folks about that? We are glad to help you with that. Our executive assistants and legislative assistants, Elizabeth is mine, Rachel's with Leader Munson. Our offices are there to serve. If you have a member that you call your own member and they are not helpful, call us. Like, not all offices are set up to be responsive. That is my goal. Our goal is to create a little pocket of responsive government, whether we can control anything or not. So if you're not getting responses, feel free to reach out to a different member. And we're glad to try to help you know who to talk to if you're not sure where you should start. That's the other thing we're glad to talk about. I think your presence here tonight means a lot. We are not going to have a democracy unless we show up, unless we participate, unless we express our opinions and listen to people. And it's really heartening to me to have so few people I already know in the room, because I know that means that people with different interests and from different parts of our community have come out, and that is very heartening to me. Anything else you want to add, Provenzano? Anything you want to add, ma'am, in closing? The House Democrats are very proud to serve and be here. I think in general, thank you. We'll be doing this again in a month. We will have one online. That schedule's on the Senate Dems or the Senate House web pages. Just so you know, we do have official Senate Oklahoma Senate Democrats webpage, Facebook page, and other socials. We also have campaign side stuff. So if you get confused about communication, just know the official side is really the C-SPAN side. It's telling what we're up to in here. It's factual. It's this bill moved, that bill moved. And then there's a whole other external communication thing happening that's more commentary, at least in our world it is. So you can look up, any of us individually have pages as well as our caucuses have pages. So we try to keep up with what's going on up here. All of us are working really hard to try to track bills, try to ask hard questions about bills. And so we are glad to have your voices in opposition or in favor of bills. And your voice really matters to us. Anything else? Yes, sir.
Leader, I think it's probably fair to say if you're here in the audience and did not speak tonight, but you have something on your heart that you want to share with us, we're all here to listen. So maybe you didn't feel comfortable standing in front of the crowd. Come approach us, tell us what's on your mind.
Perfect. Thanks so much. Good night.